Orleans-based federal judge refuses to recuse herself from a case involving a priest accused of sexual abuse. According to The Guardian, Judge Jane Trish Milazzo was asked to recuse herself over donations she made to a Catholic church, which at one point employed former priest Lawrence Hecker and paid him retirement benefits. But Milazzo refused to recuse herself. The judge is weighing whether to make public the Archdiocese of New Orleans files on Hecker. The Guardian previously reported that the Archdiocese knew about abuse allegations concerning Hecker as far back as 1988. Milazzo hasn't yet ruled on whether the church's secret files on Hecker should be released. The DA's office is now looking into criminal charges against Hecker.